Any any resolutions for you guys? You guys big resolution guys? Anything in 2025 you have ambitions for? Jaden?
I mean, get my fantasy football team back in contention. That would be cool.
That's at the top of the
Um,
list. It's a good one.
I think I go back and forth with resolutions. Some year I feel like I'm really concrete and specific, and some I'm pretty general. I think obviously you see a taper in a lot of people and what they set out and what actually happens. So I think I like to be specific to know what I'm going for, but I also like to be whole picture and holistic, understanding that it probably won't completely happen the way that I set it out, but just the intention is there. Um, I think going into my last year of PT school, I think there's a commitment to what I want to be as a professional and what I want to be going forward. And I think just committing to that process, even though it may be the last step and may feel a bit mundane at times, I think it's just commitment to what the process is and trying to be the best, you know, PT I can be going forward. So I think it's just a way to set myself up going forward. And then from a health wise point, I feel like I always have goals and things that I strive for, and it's just taking that next step, trying to be a better version of me in every aspect that I see, being more educated, trying to implement more things, and trying to educate and teach others what I find important, what I find beneficial for me. So I think just taking steps from what the version was last year to what I want this year to be. So I can't say I've wrote anything specific as far as like goals or anything down, but I have a general picture of what I'd like to I'd like the year to look like and what I would want to become. So
Yeah. Pretty
beautiful.
similar for me. I don't necessarily write down specific goals, but every year, kind of either on New Year's Eve or on New Year's Day, Paige and I kind of do a little process. We call it a vision board, even though we don't actually get a vision board out. It's just kind of what we call it. But we kind of reflect on what like the core memories were for the last year. We kind of choose a word that kind of describes where we're at, either for the last year or for the year ahead. And then we kind of, yeah, like vision board out what we think, what we would like to see. You know, if we look back a year from now, things that we'd be proud of, I guess, kind of to your point, Jaden, of, you know, if I do this, I would be really happy about that. If I do this, I'll feel really good about that. Like that's something that I'd be proud of. So, yeah, the biggest thing for me is like trying to find a home, I think. Been apartment hopping, obviously, with all the moves and stuff. So I think that's the biggest one. And that obviously includes some financial responsibility of trying to get that figured out, mapped out, and how we're going to handle that. Doing pretty good on kind of just the expense piece of things. Obviously, paid student loans we got to tackle, but those are kind of the two big things to begin that process. Like I talked about in the beginning, new facilities. So from a professional standpoint, creating a system that was efficient, that doesn't require too much from me, you know, where I'm exhausting myself early, something that's sustainable for the long run, I think is kind of the goal there. Like I said, trying to establish a long game. From the health side of things for me, I don't know. I was thinking about it for like 10 minutes and I just shouted out like 200 pounds. I don't, that's eventually what I came to. I think that includes a lot of different things. Got a sauna deal for Christmas that I'm going to begin using here after this week. This week's kind of like just getting back to it, but hoping that leads to a workout pattern. Paige is kind of asking me to lead that. So hopefully by just kind of starting the sauna, the sauna studio is what I meant to say. The saunas, hopefully it kind of leads me to, like I said, working out and some sort of routine there in the mornings. Hopefully just by like feeling better and sweating out some of the toxins and stuff, it kind of begins the process for me as we kind of endure the rest of winter and kind of would start off the spring kind of on the foot that I ended the year last year with, kind of doing some running and some different things when it gets nicer out outside. So hopefully beginning that process. And then, as far as like relationship stuff, I think those are the most important categories. We didn't really have anything specifically to work on, but mostly just like doing a monthly check-in. So I'm going to try to make it important at like the first of each month, kind of like we did for the new year, just to check in and, what are things that, you're not going to hurt my feelings, Paige. Like, what are things that I can do better? You know what I mean? What are things that bother you that I do? What are things that you find yourself wishing that I would do? Kind of just opening the space where sometimes if you catch a stray on some of those things, it can almost be offensive a little bit, where like you're trying, but you just didn't think of that, and then it comes up when it's too late, but trying to almost get ahead of potential issues. So just trying to communicate well on that side of things of what can I do better? Like I said, what are things that I'm not doing well? Being intentional with that conversation. And yeah, so, and then, for us here is Paige has done a great job with her faith over the last year, but like finding a home, a church home it's hard with my schedule, having so many weekends, to be consistent with that. And it's hard to like,
Been there.
It's hard to call an online thing home. So I don't know the solution for that yet. So, open to advice, but, would like to have either, a group of friends or, you know what I mean? Or a group that I can meet with consistently or begin a conversation with, or something that's kind of in person here over the next year. That I think that would be very helpful. So if you're in the Des Moines area and you know of something good, let me know, because it's just I just can't consistently be at church on Sunday mornings because I'm gone or have tournaments, and there's nothing I can do about that for now. So long run, I hope that maybe there's something we can do about that from the system of youth sports aspect. I think that's certainly an intentional goal of mine, but that's not something I can do until I'm in a position of real leadership, So I don't think youth sports are that important where we can't just play until like noon on Sunday or whatever. But people have limited time, so.
Fair.
Yeah. What about you?
Kind of similar to you guys. I usually don't write anything down. I have some like general thoughts, I guess, going into the year. I don't know, for whatever reason, Acts 4 and 5 has kept showing up in my life for whatever reason. Like our like men's or like our small group. Those are the last two chapters we've read. I don't know why we decided with Acts, but that's what we read. And then the Bible plan I'm on, the 31st and 1st were Acts 4 and 5. And then January 1 morning before working out, I was like, okay, is there anything, I don't know, I need to focus on the new year? Or, I don't know. And just for whatever reason, I heard a sermon in my church last year from Craig Rochelle. Do you guys know who that is? So I listened to him in person, and he gave an awesome sermon. And I don't know why that came to mind, but I was like, I kind of just want to listen to that instead of listen to podcast or music today. And the bulk of that sermon was focused on Acts 4 and 5. And so the bulk of that message, yeah. The bulk of those two, it's just basically what the disciples were doing after Jesus left, and like the Holy Spirit had entered them, and then they're going out and performing all these miracles and stuff. And like that sermon, it was just a message of being more bold. So they went and like there's a cripple who was crippled for 40 years, and then they went and just said in the name of the Holy Spirit, stand up, and then he stood up. And so they boldly did that. And then the Sadducees, or like the I don't know what the right word is, Sadducees or Pharisees, or like basically the church leaders at that time were just like, okay, you guys can't do this. We're going to throw you in prison. We're going to persecute you. And instead of like praying for safety, they are like that God would protect us. They're like, God, give us boldness to stand up against these people and to continue working miracles. And so I don't know, I guess just for me, that just hit home, and just finding ways to be more bold, I guess, finding ways to get out of my comfort zone, and just, I don't know, just not praying for safety or comfort, but just opportunities to be more bold. And like we've talked about it before, like God's not just going to give you boldness, he's going to give you opportunities to be bold, I guess. So yeah, just keeping my eyes open to opportunities around me, and just not having any regrets. Like if there's a conversation I need to have with someone, or if I need to speak up, or I don't know, whatever it is, whatever opportunity that is, just not having any regrets and being bold and timid, because that's how I've been a lot of my life, is timid and quiet and held back. So just killing that part of myself, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, or just improving in that area. And yeah, that was the core of the message. Like, you never know what one act of boldness or getting out of your comfort zone can do for you or for someone else. So just keeping eyes open for those opportunities. And I keep coming back to like what Jody said and what we've said. Like, if it helps one person, then it was worth it. So not being afraid to, like a core of the message was like, boldness will bring spiritual opposition. So not being afraid to be like persecuted or laughed at or made fun of or not invited to things, whatever it is, like just embracing that. And even like, if you don't have spiritual opposition in your life, that means, maybe you're not being bold enough. So just finding ways to invite that, or I don't know, it's kind of a backwards way of thinking, but just seeking those opportunities out. I don't know, that's just kept coming back to me. So just looking for those opportunities.